kind of tying it back to that one of those initial clips that we shared with you from Roman Baber, who was calling out the budget for having all this funding for asylum seekers. You have Mark Carney here admitting what he loves most about Toronto. And guess what? It's that half of the people who live there weren't born there.
The role Toronto plays in our country, it's in many respects the best of Canada because it's all of Canada in one place. As you know, virtually half of the people in the greater GTA were born outside this country. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know because they quickly become Canadian.
Are you sure?
Enriched by them. And that's true of our country as a whole. It's always been true of our country. And of course, Toronto is a center of finance, of culture, of business, huge entrepreneurship here. So there's so many things that make Toronto unique, relatively unique. The sum of them all being together in one place, I guess. But the nature of it and the genius of Toronto is the genius of Canada. For all of its
entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship in Canada under the Liberals is basically dead because you have businesses fleeing this country for actual opportunity in the States, including Carney's own Brookfield Bros and all their tentacle affiliates. I've been saying this in my reports and on this live stream for, I don't know, I just feel like beating a dead horse and a broken record, but the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, receives more than half of all Canada's immigration, whether that be refugee claimants, asylum seekers, temporary foreign workers, international students, and actual permanent residents. And I'm sure I'm missing some under the immigration umbrella, but it is insane how many actually funnel into specifically the Greater Toronto Area, this little corridor stretched along the 401. And you see it. there's no hiding from this anymore. And that urban sprawl that we were all told to be, warned of, encroaching on your farmlands. And we have the green belt here in that same area. It has a lot of supposed to be protected kind of green space. Well, that's all been encroached upon, and there's nowhere for the influx that we've seen in recent years to go. And so when people are like, oh, but we have to protect the farmlands and we have to keep, it's called the golden horseshoe, and it's supposed to function. They frame it as like the lungs of the GTA. Excuse me, I think I have to cough. But there's nowhere for these individuals to go. And so you can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't save the green space and save these protected lands while simultaneously welcoming record numbers of people into the same area where there's no housing, there's no opportunity. Everything is stagnating in the GTA. And thanks to weak leadership also from Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, like none of this is changing or getting any better.
Well, and how is it even socially permissible for the leader of a country to come out and say, the place that I like most in this nation is the place with the most people not from here. That is just the best. That is just the best place in the country for entrepreneurship and all of the things that Mark Carney, what is wrong with you? This is not a flex. The 50% of the people in Toronto aren't from here. That's not a good thing. And as a matter of fact, I think it shows the societal rot that the Liberals have brought in. Because as soon as we start bragging that the best places don't have any, old stock Canadians in them, that's problematic. That's real problematic.
And just shows Mark Miller reposting that from Roman Baber and calling it hogwash. And I paraphrase there.
Horse manure.
Horse manure. It shows how tone deaf they really are. Like in the same breath, pretty much. You have the Prime Minister acknowledging that over half of the people in Toronto aren't actually from Canada at all. And I've said it in other reports. Immigration without integration, without oversight, without mechanisms, without accountability is an invasion. And that's what has been allowed and tolerated under the Liberals for the last decade, but enhanced throughout 2021 and onward. Like, quite literally. Let me just, I don't know if I did close it out, but you can go to Statista, or you can go to StatsCan, and you can look at the graphs and the charts for yourself and see the record numbers of immigration that we have opened. Like, when I say the words opened the floodgates, I'm not kidding. We did open those floodgates, and it's not fair to anyone, no matter which way you look at it, that we are seeing such demise of our social
devastation of our safety nets.
Well, there's not the infrastructure there to handle it.
But the politicians that okay this, the politicians that support these initiatives are absolutely impervious and untouched by the negative consequences. You think Mark Miller's neighborhood is being overtaken by immigrants, by violent immigrants? Absolutely not. You think Mark Miller or any of his cohorts are waiting on Canadian wait lists? Absolutely not. They're going south to the Mayo Clinic and wherever else they're accessing. You think their kids go to public schools? They don't. They go to private schools. They have insulated themselves from their own bad decisions, and this is why they are incapable of seeing the negativity that's coming from unmitigated immigration.
Yeah, their children aren't being affected by the record youth unemployment, who are being undercut by a slave labor class of temporary foreign workers who were sold on this idea that, hey, if you come here and then you have to pay your employer, like people who were brought on the temporary foreign worker program, which worked well for a lot of years when it had those checks and balance kept in line with those historical numbers. Now the temporary foreign workers themselves are being exploited at the hands of employers and managers who are set to make a profit off of their head, off of them coming in and working at this place, and they exploit them, they underpay them, they force them to engage in unsafe labor practices. I mean, the Liberals' own reports have featured this in their immigration reports to Parliament, dating back to at least 2021. And they've sat on this for years and allowed it to proliferate. This isn't new stuff. The Liberals knew about it. The media could have been reporting on it, but instead they've all been too scared to be called xenophobic than actually do their jobs and say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't benefiting anyone, including the temporary foreign workers who have been told that you have opportunity and a better life in Canada. They have been entirely exploited. And the likes of Brookfield, well, they enjoy that because they get cheap labor as a result.
You like the hat? Me too. Same strong message about making Canada great again, but in a really cool color, black and gold. There's other colors available, and it's an all Canadian site. So if you want to signal your tribe or trigger a Liberal, go to mcgahats.ca today.